Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'll be your host today, bringing on a guest here in just a moment, Dave Clark. We're going to meet him here in just a few minutes. But before we do that, if you're new around here, a couple things you need to know. One is most of our podcast episodes feature successful students from the Proven Amazon course, which is our flagship Amazon seller training course. Starts off assuming you know absolutely nothing, teaches you how to help fill the underserved shelf space at Amazon's hundreds of warehouses. And you hear success stories from the people who have learned to do that. And then from there, you go on and have multiple other opportunities on about a dozen plus different strategies you can use to build a real business and build multiple income streams on Amazon. And then we talk about Walmart and all these other incredible opportunities. We just love e-commerce here. So if you're new around here, listen to some of those great interview episodes. That's our favorite episodes to do around here, but we also like bringing on people from our team, explaining some of the roles that they play, how they can serve you. Someone you've never met before, unless you happen to have talked to him on the phone, is Dave Clark. He's with our Humminbird services. Now, we built this conglomerate of services called Humminbird out of necessity because we saw a lot of Amazon sellers out there, a lot of e-commerce sellers in our community who were saying, hey, who can I use for bookkeeping? Who can I use to get my pay-per-click ads? Who can I use for different services, different things that different sellers need? Well, we've got one place you can go to meet our preferred providers who do these things, humminbird.com. Now, it's not spelled like you think it is. It's a little different. I'll stick it in the show notes as well. You can just click the link there, but we spell it Humnbird. There's only 8 letters in there. Humnbird.com, and click on the bookkeeping services. That's going to take you right to Dave, a guy that you're about to meet today. Now, bookkeeping is a very boring topic for myself included. I can't stand it. I don't have time for it. I got a C- in accounting in college. Hated it, but it's got to be done. If you're going to run a real business, someone has to be doing it. And there's a few things you can do to completely automate the process so that it's just a few minutes a month and not hours per week, as some people spend trying to keep track of their numbers. That's what we're going to talk about today with Dave. That's what he's here for. He's here to do a free consultation with you if you'd like. If you just want to go ahead and connect with him, get over to humminbird.com, set up an appointment on his calendar, have a chat about what you've got going on right now. He'll give you some advice and give you some recommendations that will help you get it done the right way, because we hate to see sellers get in over their head, making money and not realizing how much of that they owe in taxes, or worse, not making any money thinking they are because they're not tracking their numbers. You need to avoid this by having good bookkeeping in place that allows you to run the good reports that can tell you exactly where you're at. So let's have a conversation with Dave from Humminbird about keeping track of your numbers. So, hey, Dave, welcome to the podcast. Good to see you, man.
Good seeing you, Jim. Thanks for having me here.
Of course, man. Let's spend some time letting people know what you're up to and what you're excited about in regards to otherwise possibly quite a boring topic, but it's something we all have to deal with, man. And I appreciate you kind of taking the bull by the horns on this for us. So talk to us about it.
Yeah. I'm here to talk about the bookkeeping side of the business. Like you said, the boring side as people think of it. You know, the side that nobody wants to do, but everybody has to do it. And especially if you want accurate numbers with your taxes. That's why bookkeeping is there. You know, if we don't have bookkeeping, we have just a huge amount of upside down and question marks. And, you know, as we all know, that the flow of money for business is not just one stream. There's multiple ways of money coming in and money going out. Bookkeeping helps keep everything solid.
Absolutely. You've been working for a long time with clients of ours. I mentioned in the introduction, you were part of our Humminbird team. We'll stick that link in the show notes for folks. But why don't you talk us through just the reality of if someone just chooses to ignore this part of their business, what happens? And maybe some people who have said, okay, they bit the bullet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it the right way. How is life different for them? Just talk me through some examples.
Yeah. So a lot of people that I speak to even, and just business owners out there in general, they love Google Docs. They love Excel spreadsheets. They love doing those sort of things because a lot of them, that's what they do for their jobs in general. They need to keep track of their spreadsheets one way or another. Then they translate that over to their business. But the problem that people have when they translate it over to their business, Jim, is that they're spending time trying to figure out where money goes instead of figuring out how are we going to make money. Right. So people, they join the community, they get into Amazon, they want to make money, they want to grow a future and have financial stability, but then they take 3 or 4 hours a week out of their time that they have to actually grow their business to fiddle with the bookkeeping side, to fiddle with the finance side of it. And I talk to people that deal with that on a daily basis. Everybody that I talk to that's dealing with Excel, Google Docs, the problem that I come up with them is that is just their habit. And we all know that we got to break habits. When we break the habit, then we have success. Just like I have, one of your students, one of our clients, 3 hours a week is what she was putting into her quote unquote bookkeeping, which was her Excel spreadsheets. But what she was doing was she was going bank account, credit card, credit card, credit card, keep a inventory lab. She was going everywhere, pulling information in, going maybe to Amazon, not quite understanding how the flow of Amazon works. 3 hours a week she's putting into that. Well, after I spoke to her, she actually realized, wait a minute, that is time that I should be putting into my business to grow my business. So when we get into it, what we do is we actually straighten it out. We create the flow of money proper with her QuickBooks account, with her bookkeeping account. Make sure that anything that can be integrated onto QuickBooks will be integrated onto QuickBooks. Even with Walmart, everything of that sort, it will actually flow directly into one hub. So you got the big wheel, you got the hub, everything comes into the hub. Then, you spend maybe 10, 15 minutes a month, literally a month, not a week, a month, to go in there and reconcile the books because everything can be automated if it's set up correctly for the business that you're doing.
Fantastic. Yeah, that creates a nice visual for people. When you start talking about saving money and saving time and being able to work more on the activities that produce a profit, the ears of any entrepreneur are going to perk up versus, hey, let's talk about bookkeeping. Everyone takes a nap. But you start saying, hey, we want to help you make more money. Ultimately, that's what we're doing here. Spend more time on the profitable activities, less time on pulling numbers into spreadsheets so you can keep track of everything you have to give to your accountant later this year, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So at what point in the e-commerce, Amazon selling journey does it make sense to start working with someone? Like if I'm just selling a little bit, playing around, okay, maybe I don't need anything yet. I'm going to have to pull it all together for my account at some point. Like, what's your philosophy on that? What have we seen play out now that we've helped a whole bunch of people on this?
My philosophy, and the tax world is my background. So my philosophy is the minute that you decide to get into business, the minute that you decide to do anything, you want to make sure that your entity is set up. You want to make sure your tax side is correct, because no matter what you're doing, no matter if it's 5 or 6 sales a week or 5 or 6 sales an hour, you're still, like you said, you're still going to need to provide the same information. So why not streamline it as fast as you can? It's pretty hard at the end of the year when you've gone, let's say 7, 8 months, 2 or 3 months even. And at the end of the year, you say, oh man, now I need to get my bookkeeping set up. Well, now that means that there's all of that time that needs to be pulled right into your bookkeeping. So that's even more time out of your hands. So the sooner the better to get your bookkeeping set up for simplicity reasons.
Is there any better time of the year or worse time of the year to pay attention and focus on this and get it done the right way? Or,
no.
Assuming you haven't done it yet and you should have.
Correct. Right. So to me, it's the timing is now, right? Here on this podcast, now let's get the bookkeeping set up and your training done on that the correct way. If you've been in business and you haven't done anything, now is the time to get that set up. But if you're brand new into the community, if you're just listening to this podcast and you're selling and you're not part of the coaching yet, let's talk, because you might not have it set up correctly. You might be running QuickBooks yourself, but how is it set up? Is it set up for e-commerce, or is it just set up for a standard business? So the timing, of course, with everything is right now. So the sooner we can get that tightened up, the better tax season you're going to have in general.
Very good. And this is what you do. You talk to folks all the time on through Humminbird, which I stuck a link in the show notes today, as well as mentioned it in the introduction. But humminbird.com. We didn't get the full hummingbird. We just got Humminbird. The other really good word was taken, but it's HUMNBIRD.com. It's in the show notes. And there's a link there where they can schedule to talk about our bookkeeping services. And if they schedule, they'll be talking to you, right, Dave?
Directly to me. Absolutely.
And that's free. I mean,
Yes.
it's a great opportunity to at least maybe do like a quick audit with someone who knows what they're talking about. Do I
Hmm.
have this set up the right way? Right. So I really
Yep.
appreciate you doing this. And I know you've helped a
Absolutely.
whole lot of people in our community. Did you have any other stories or any other examples that you want to give us to kind of paint a picture of what it is you're doing there and maybe even the cost of not doing it? Have you seen any disaster stories?
Well, yes, I've actually, had heard some very disturbing stories where accountants that this client had previous said that they understood e-commerce, that they said, well, bookkeeping, just keep everything on your, on your basic bookkeeping structure that you have. Well, they didn't know anything about the e-commerce and the flow of money. And they actually filed their taxes, they paid their tax bill, then they got a letter of over $10,000 from the IRS. And I asked them why they think that that happened and what did their accountant say? And their accountant just told them that, well, you must have gave us the wrong numbers. To me, that doesn't make any sense. A, what is your accountant there for, first and foremost? And B, if they're wrong numbers, that means that your bookkeeping was set up wrong, which then, of course, supposed to fall back to your accountant or if you have a bookkeeper. That's why it's important. Like I explain and describe QuickBooks. Everybody thinks bookkeeping is the exact same for every business, but it's not. I like to explain it as a blank canvas or a blank sheet of paper. You can take that white piece of paper and turn it into anything that you want it to be. But that's how QuickBooks is actually set up. That's how bookkeeping softwares are set up. Is how are you going to set it up to benefit your business the correct and proper way? Right. And so we've actually gone back and helped people that their bookkeeping has been set up incorrectly to then set it up for their e-commerce, because they're not integrating things the correct way. They're not making sure that the Amazon fees hit the way that they need to hit, because sometimes the way that they hit, they can hit wrong and show as actual income instead of outgoing, which then you pay taxes on that. Right.
Wow.
So yeah, so the whole point to what we like to do is to save you time, to save you money and stress, because you can put your time into your business. That's the one thing that we cannot get back. We can all make money back, but if we don't need to, then let's put that money where it's going to actually generate. And then the third part is the stress level. I don't know how many people I talk to come tax time, and they are so scared that they just don't actually end up doing anything because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But that's where we step in, is because, you've built such a beautiful and amazing community that we want to make sure that everybody has that ability to thrive without the anchors pulling them down.
Absolutely. Well, I know I rely very heavily on my team to, keep records, keep the books. I want to be the guy charging forward at the front,
Mm-hmm.
taking new territory, knowing
Yep.
that they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And if we're audited and if, we need to provide proof of receipts or all that's being done so building great systems is just part of growing a working, real, legitimate business. And I love that you said, just because you're small doesn't give you a pass. You're going to have to provide all the same documents and paperwork. It may not be a thick stack, but it's going to contain all the same elements. Your little
Absolutely.
business of someone who's slightly bigger than you, it's all the
Yep.
same elements are expected and required. And bookkeeping just helps totally smooth that out. I do know this. I know enough about it to know that if you're not doing good bookkeeping and then you just kind of, the old visual is just hand your accountant a shoebox full of receipts at the end of the year, they're going to charge you way,
Yeah,
way, way, way more than you would have spent
absolutely.
to do it the right way and make sure these numbers are all dropping into the right slots to where they just hit a couple buttons, run a couple reports. They have what they need to do
Done.
your taxes, because
Yep.
accountants file taxes, right? They
Yeah,
don't like to do bookkeeping stuff. You got to get that dialed in. So
correct.
yeah, great stuff. Anything else you want to
Yeah.
share with us before we wrap this up? I think this has been very useful. We've given people some good advice and insights. It kept it kind of low level. We're not diving in the weeds here, but
Yeah,
you need a good bookkeeping strategy if you don't have one.
absolutely. And that's just it. Don't think that you're too small and don't think that you're too big, because the numbers are the numbers and the numbers don't lie. It's just, where do we put the numbers? So let's put them right.
Very good. Well said. All right, Dave. Well, I appreciate you, man. We talked to Dave Clark today with Humminbird. And just for full disclosure, I own a percent. I don't remember what percent I own of Humminbird, but I get a little check each month from those guys. So I do have a vested interest here, but I love their services. And we've pulled together a best of collection of experts that we trust to provide a good number of services. You can go to hummingbird.com and see what we've got there. One of them is bookkeeping, and you're going to be working with Dave. If this is something that you'd like to explore, get on a free call and have that conversation and see what he can do for you. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us today, Dave. Great call. And I think we're going to make the phone ring a little bit with some good people with some questions. All right, man.
I'm excited for it. Thank you, Jim.
Good. All right. Talk to you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.